Uh, okay, we are live. Good morning. Welcome to Insomniacs in the Morning. We started on time today. I'm
I'm
Ryan.
Maddy. Oh, wait. You're Ryan. I'm Maddy, and this is Insomniacs in the Morning.
I like how immediately we're both confused.
Well, because we do it differently every single week.
I know. Oh, honestly, it all worked out because Ben was just leaving 2 seconds ago. So, like, there's all this noise in the background. But I thought Maddie fell asleep again because I messaged her and was like, "Oh, good thing I'm not on time today." But like, I still was here by 9:05, and then like another 15 minutes went by, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" I'm texting Mary Ellen. I'm like, "Do you think Maddie fell asleep? What do I do?"
I'm sorry. I should have told you. I tried to be really fast. I just was like, I gotta take a shower before the show. I should have woken up earlier. Mistakes were made, guys. Mistakes were made. Anyway,
no regrets on like.
At least I feel slightly more awake now, and I even have a workout tip prepared this week. So
I'm awfully prepared too, and I'm also pretty awake. So maybe the trick is that we need to like move around in the morning. I don't fucking know.
Well, if I take a shower in the morning, I definitely feel more awake. I just normally don't have time. So
yeah. And
whatever.
That's
I'm
clearly
not doing
reflects
that again.
today.
Next week I'll do something else stupid that will make me late. Anyway, do you have anything to say for what's going on before we do workout tips?
Yeah. So first of all, you know about this, but I'm gonna sort of share with everyone that I did shoot another Airbnb this past week, and I sort of am thinking I might be looking to take more jobs on like this because I'm really good at it. Not to like put myself on a pedestal, but like I'm better at shooting rooms than I am of actual people.
Well, people move around, but rooms don't. So
yeah, but some people are. Yeah, a lot of people are like the opposite that are photographers. Like I know Carla doesn't shoot stuff. Like she's just not into it. Where I'm like really into it. But so basically, I'm shooting this Airbnb in trade for a weekend there, and it's like this giant beach house on the water of the actual ocean. So it was really cool, and it's my neighbor's Airbnb. So she was offering to do a trade for me, and like, I thought it was going to be like, a typical beach house, but it was gorgeous, and I posted some of it up on my vlog. But it was like I couldn't decide what to take pictures of and what not to take pictures of. So I was there for like 3 hours taking photos, and then I had to sort through like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos. Which is like the most obnoxious thing in the world to do. And then at the end of it, I was still like, I wish I had taken more. Like, I was like, so I messaged her, and she, I gave her the photos and everything, and she loves them. She's like, these are perfect. I'm going to put these up right now. And it's like, well, can I come back in the fall and shoot some in the fall? Because I would love to shoot this place during the, when the leaves are changing color and stuff like that. Because she has a tree like right on the water that's huge. So I thought that'd be really cool. But yeah, I'm all excited about it, and obviously I'm excited to stay there. But like, really, like I love shooting houses for some reason. I'm a fucking weirdo. Like,
I don't know if you're that weird. I guess there certainly are architecture photographers, so you could start doing that. Anyway, people should ask Ryan to shoot their Airbnb if they're setting something up.
If you live in the New England area, and like, we can barter. You can pay me, or you can let me stay there. I don't really care.
Please pay him.
I do need money.
I can't go to beach house vacations every weekend. So
you wish you could.
Sure, but also I'd like you to have money. That would be good.
We also saw each other this weekend, by the way.
We did see each other this weekend. I forgot that was even this weekend.
You always are like that. You're always like, wait.
Because the show is in the latter half of the week now. We used to do it on Wednesday, so it was like easy for me to remember the weekend we just had. But when we do it on
now
Thursdays
that it's
and
a
Fridays,
day later,
I'm just thinking about the next weekend at that point. I'm just like, oh my God, I just got to get to the weekend. I'm like not even thinking about what happened the previous weekend.
Do you have any fun plans for this weekend?
No, other than like not working.
I'm not really doing much either. I'm going to like a rehearsal for Horror Fest, which is the following weekend, but that's the only thing I'm doing this weekend that I know of. I don't know. It's like I say that now, and then I look at my schedule, and I'm like, oopsie, I scheduled 45 things to do in the next 3 days, and then I message you being like, I just have too much to do, and Maddie's like,
well, all right, I'll look forward to that tomorrow. Okay. But anyway, I don't have any what's going ons really.
We went to Uno's. That was your what's going on.
Oh well, yeah, we could let people know that we went to Uno's
that's
together.
Hugely important. Well, it's actually a funny story because Steph.
Is it?
it's funny to me because like there was a whole bunch of people who were supposed to go to this thing we're going
I
to, and
didn't
Steph
mind
called
that.
me and she was like, "Hey, what's your ETA at?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting off the exit." I'm like, "Is anybody there?" She's like, "Nope."
Well, I told you that on this very show last week. I was like, Ryan, I'm pretty sure no one can go to this party but you and me. And you were
It was
like,
great
ah,
though. You know what? I
funny.
mean, I
I'm
love
like,
everyone, but we went out to dinner instead, and then we watched some movies we're going to talk about later. So
it was just you and me and Steph, and that was fine. It was still
sometimes
a
those are the best
party.
parties, you know, when it's just like a
I
couple
mean,
people.
that's my favorite kind. You get to actually talk to
I
everyone.
know it's like it's the kind of
It's like not your thing, but it is my thing.
it's like
So
almost like a sleepover party when you were in middle school where you're hanging out with like one or two other people really late at
it's
night,
nothing like sleepover parties when I was
and
in
then you
middle
eat a
school.
ton of cookies.
Me and Katie would have sleepovers in middle school, and we would stay up all night and then
Yeah.
feel like shit the next day and be really mean to our
Well,
parents
that's
because
what
we were
Steph and I
tired.
did, but we weren't mean.
But we
So
would stay up all night, like the entire night.
watching gargoyles.
I don't even know. I don't even know why we did that. Like there was no real reason.
Because you and your kids, you could do that. Now you get tired. Well, actually, you probably did get tired then too.
Well, we got tired around like 10 a.m. I mean, like we would just go as long as we could, and then just be huge dicks to our parents the next day and be like, "We're great," and like not realize why we were being so mean. And our parents would be like, "Why do we let them sleep over with each other? They're just so cranky the
And then they
next
just
day."
keep on doing it over and over again.
Oh well, it's a good way to get rid of us for like 12 hours.
I mean, I guess that's true.
Anyway, this wasn't like that. We all went to bed at a reasonable time, like 1 or something.
Well, you did. We went to bed at 5.
Okay, well, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you two.
Nothing unusual.
Do you want to do
Yeah,
workout tips?
Yeah, I'll jump into it because we're definitely on time today.
Sure.
So my workout tip for today is going back to some squats, but today you're going to grab a handy dandy weight and you're going to hold it between your legs like a giant dick. No, you're not going to do that. Don't do that. That's not my recommendation.
Like swinging some balls. I mean, let's just be real here.
Like I mean, I'm gay, but like dicks aren't that great.
Ryan, let's not go down that road.
Like, okay. So my workout tip is that you're going to be holding a weight in between your legs while you do a squat. So that's why I said that. Because it sounded dirty in my head as I was thinking it, but like really, you're just holding. You could be a plate or like a weight plate or
so just
an actual weight.
Straight
Yeah,
down
so
between.
you're holding your arms completely straight in between your legs, and you're just sort of like holding it like you're lifting it almost, but you're not actually lifting it because the only motion you're doing is squats, so you don't want to lift it. But it's like you're in the
probably
position.
don't want to keep your elbows locked too, though.
Yeah,
right?
and you don't want to have it in a way that it makes it seem like you're going to lift something up because then you're going to hurt your back. So it's like it's all in your legs. It's actually a really great practice too for when you're like
doing deadlifts or
no, I was just thinking like when you're lifting up something heavy in general, like when you're moving or you work in a place that requires you to move heavy items, like it always says lift with your legs and not your back.
With your back. And a lot of people don't know what that means, but this is what it means.
Right. Here, I'll do a demonstration real quick because I can.
Okay, cool. Ryan's taking off his
Maddie's gonna take over.
He can't hear me anymore, which is the best part of the show. So Ryan's putting this weight between his legs.
Yeah, so it's like this.
I mean, he's doing exactly what he just described to you in a lot of detail. I really couldn't put it any better. That was great, actually. It gave me an idea of how to do it. Hey, I've never actually done that before, but I wonder if it works out the same muscles as doing a deadlift, which I remember I was telling you about. Like you hold the entire bar.
Yeah.
And like essentially do a squat and you put the bar almost on the ground, but then you lift it all the way back up. It's similar.
I think it's going to be a little bit different because of the position of your hands, but I think you're right that it involves a lot of similar muscles. Yeah.
So that's always good. I know there's another one that you can do. This isn't what I was going to say today, but there's another one that you can do where you do squats and you lift the weights in front of you.
Yeah. I do that with just the weights, raising them up in front of me, but I don't usually do it with the squats.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done like raise the weights in front of you, put them above your head, put them out. those ones. I've done those, but not for a while. And they always make my arms like ridiculously tired, more so than any other exercise I do.
Really?
So that means I should probably do it more. Anyway, that's not what I was going to say. And I'm apparently determined to say as many workout tips as possible today.
Well, sometimes we have to make up for the weeks that we don't, because there's definitely been 3 times where we've just been like, just play Pokemon Go.
Well,
like,
it's because there are a lot of workouts that I do, but I just forget that I do them. And then while I'm doing them, I'm like, I should write this down for Insomniacs. And this time I actually did that. So I know that you must do this one, because, and to a point where I'm wondering if we said it on the show. So
See,
you
I just
get
don't
on
work
all
out.
fours, yet another sexual movement, because workout tips are always sexual with us, apparently. You get on all fours, and then you lift one but not the other of your 2 legs back in front of you, and then you hold it out straight and like lift it in the air like that. Have you ever done that? I was just doing these yesterday.
I think you need to describe it a little bit more, because I just stared at you.
I'm just gonna have to do it then.
Yep. All right. If this is the day that we're gonna actually show you all how to do workouts. Okay, I see Maddie's butt, so I didn't see anything.
I lifted my leg behind myself while.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I do those.
So you can do that, and you can also put your leg in the air.
Yep.
And you can do like 8 of those, and then 8 of the other.
Are you moving them up your legs up and down? I usually just hold it because it's.
Yeah, you can also hold it. So I have a video, and the end of the video is like 10 minutes long. And it's just a bunch of those, and basically you hold it in between every single one. Like you do 8 of the leg lifts with your legs straight out, and then you do, you hold it, and then you do like 8 with your leg in the air. And then there's another one that's really hard where you're like, you have your leg out, and then you ever so incrementally bring your leg towards your body. I don't know how to
towards your body. Sorry.
Anyway, there's a bunch of like different variations of that, and they're basically supposed to work out your upper thighs. And since I go running a lot, running doesn't work out your thighs, it only works out your calves. So like I try to kind of work out every muscle by changing it up. I don't always do a good job of that, but like that's one of the exercises you can do that's for your upper thighs. And if you're into running and you want to try to work out the rest of your legs, then that's one way to do it.
It also like sort of helps you stretch those leg muscles out for running.
It does. But also like if you want to stretch out those leg muscles after you've done that or before, if you're not Ryan and you remember to stretch, then you can just either reach over and touch your toes, or do that V thing with your legs and reach over and touch your toes on either side.
And guess who forgot to stretch yesterday after working out and was sore?
How do you not? Okay.
I mean, like, it's because I get immediately distracted and start doing something else. So in yesterday's case, I was working out and making dinner at the same time, which is one of my favorite things to do. And then, like, as soon as I was done, I just started eating.
That's fair. I mean, I'm always so hungry after I work out.
Yeah,
but
like,
I also, like, try to make myself stretch, because if I don't, I regret it instantly. So, yeah, there's no way. I mean, like, I get so sore, but, you know, whatever.
I do too. And you think I would learn, but, like, I haven't learned. And I've been working out for years and years and years. And it's, like, the most important part about working out is stretching. And I'm just like, well, fuck it.
Well, don't do what we do.
Yeah, don't listen to me. Like, not a good example of things.
Okay.
But that's our workout tips. And we somehow are miraculously on time with the rest of the news, considering we're like 15 minutes late today.
Well, it's because I didn't really have anything for what's going on. And also, we skipped
I could have asked about Robot Nights
20
again.
minutes of this show. Oh, well, that's going good. I mean, I don't know. Can I say that every week?
It's the same thing that you've already been saying for weeks. So,
yeah.
Oh, we didn't talk about the fact that we're really close to finishing GENO, and I don't want to talk about it extensively.
We've
but
said
I'm just
that
letting
every
you all
week,
know.
And I don't want to do it again.
It's like all together.
No.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Because I actually
Maddie
don't
was
think
up
we're that
last
close.
night, messaging me, being like, "You were asking me questions again after I put the phone down because we had the morning show."
I don't think we're that close. I still have to record some more music for it, and I think that might take a little while. So
the sequences are there. The only thing I'm really working on right now is special effects, so that's good.
That's true, but it might take us a couple weeks to get that together. So it's not like
we're
releasing
knows?
it tomorrow.
I finished a lot of my other projects I needed to do that were time-consuming video editing wise, unless something else comes along, which it probably will. But
yeah, it'll come along tomorrow. Okay,
like today.
We don't need to talk about GENO.
No,
again.
I just wanted to say that. All right,
we're making a video, and it'll be out someday.
That's true. All right, so before we get into news, we just want to ask everyone to send us questions and reader mail to our email address, insomniacsinthemorning@gmail.com. And like the past 2 weeks, we actually have a prompt for you if you don't have a topic or question in mind. And the question is, I feel like there should be like a "Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego" tune here. The question is, what was your favorite drink as a kid? Obviously not alcoholic. If you were drinking alcohol when you were a child, I don't know what to tell you.
Right in, and we don't want to talk about it on this show. It's too dark. But yeah, tell us your favorite drink or juice or soda or whatever you were into.
Yeah, and if you don't want to do that, you can ask us questions too. That's cool. We'll answer anything that's not super weird. So
we'll probably answer the weird stuff.
I know we probably will too. We have. All right.
Anyway,
because we have lots to talk about. But first of all, I just put this into our Google Doc today, but I saw this announced via the Mary Sue, actually.
Yeah, we just wrote about this yesterday. I should have mentioned it to you.
Yeah, because I would have
known you were excited.
Yeah, Runaways, which is a Marvel comic book series that started in like the early 2000s. Netflix just ordered a...
I think it might be Hulu. Let me check on this. With some live streaming
I think it's Netflix. Wait, is it Hulu? Oh, it is Hulu.
Yeah, it's Hulu. Hulu ordered it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just assumed it was Netflix for a second because
even though it says Hulu right here in a note written by you. You were probably just like, no, it can't be.
As long as it's not like...
Well, there's a lot of other Marvel shows on Netflix, so it's like fair to assume that's where it would be, but it's not.
I just hope this doesn't turn out like that weird X-Men TV show that's supposed to be about like...
yeah.
What's its fucking name?
I know what you're talking about. And I've also already forget
it's also
who
a character
it's
I don't care about. So like it's weird that he's getting a TV show. But anyway, so Runaways is a comic book that is literally about these teenage runaways. But what was interesting about it was that it was a very diverse cast in terms of race. And there was also like they all had different powers. They were not just exclusively like a mutant. So in the very first run of Runaways, it was like a witch, a like technomancer or super genius engineer, then just like a super smart chick who like could talk to dinosaurs, then there was a mutant, and there was like an alien. So it's sort of like a nice mishmash of like different characters with different backgrounds, and it continued to be that way. Like eventually there was like this weird plant girl, and then there was a robot like who I believe was I think he was created by Ultron. I'm not 100% on that, but basically it's this really interesting show or comic book where it's about these teenage kids.
Soon to be show
that's going to be turned into a TV show. And I know that some of these characters have like a huge fan base, like Nico, the one that's the witch. Like people love her. Like I remember when Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was coming out, people were petitioning to get her into it. It never happened, obviously.
Yeah, sadly, yeah. But I know there's a huge fandom for this. Like I've seen cosplays of Runaways at cons for years by like actual teenagers.
Yeah.
That are, like the same age as characters. And like I know that the kids are into this, but I would say that like maybe kids these days don't know about Runaways. It's more like our generation.
Well, I think they started a new series, so maybe the next generation will get into it. But it was all really well written and like really interesting.
And like worth going back and checking out again. I mean, I'm sure Marvel will put it on Marvel Unlimited probably as like a free thing or whatever. I'm sure it's on there.
And they definitely like did this whole vigilante thing too, where they were sort of like, they were kids that were vigilantes and they would run into other superheroes and the superheroes would be like, what's with these kids running around? Like, it's not like
a common theme with Marvel though. Like the Miss Marvel stories are about that. And...
Yeah, but like, I mean, at least Miss Marvel like goes home and the X-Men live at the X-Mansion or one of them.
The Runaways are Runaways.
The Runaways are literally like living in a cave and they're just like, they run out at some point and like do stuff. Everyone's like, why are there children with superpowers running around? Like, who are these people? And that was sort of an ongoing theme for a really long time before I think some of them joined the Young Avengers. I'm getting it all mixed up because things got weird for a while in the Marvel universe. So what else is new?
Yeah, well,
But
things
I'm
are
pumped
always
about it.
weird there. But yeah, no, that's really cool. I'm glad you're excited about it. I
I
actually
am.
don't know a ton about Runaways. It's
I'll
like one
lend
of
you
the
some of the
series.
comics
I
because they're
mean,
very good.
I have Marvel Unlimited, so I
Okay,
can
well, you
just
could
read
also
them.
do that because I know you have tons of free time.
I mean,
Uh,
theoretically.
all right, so other news: Star Wars Rogue One got like an official trailer that had like more talking in it. I guess is
Yeah.
the way you could say it's the extended trailer.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm still excited for this movie. I know
I
it's been
am
getting a lot
too.
of like rumors that it's not good. I don't know if you've seen any of those.
I
Like
mean,
they
how
had to
can there
go in for
possibly be
reshoots
rumors
and
yet?
well,
Like,
because they had to go in for reshoots, and anytime a movie has to go in for reshoots, people are like, "It's bad,"
but
and
that
I'm
doesn't.
like, "That means
Sometimes
nothing."
that means nothing. I could anybody. All right, to anyone that may think that when they are listening to this, I don't think any of our viewers are that way. But if you are, I can tell you from a filmmaker's perspective, sometimes you reshoot things because like the quality of the film or something like didn't turn out right and you couldn't catch it while you were there and you have to reshoot it for that reason.
There's so many reasons to reshoot
Yeah,
things.
like for example, even the Airbnb I just shot, I looked at a room. I was like, I really wish I had noticed this. Like these two blinds weren't matched up because it looks super uneven. And like when I go there again, I'm gonna reshoot that room because it just is driving me crazy. But that's a lot of what it is. It's like you just something that nobody on the production team noticed at that time. So,
hmm I
but
mean,
anyway,
it could be that. I know they're also like changing the editing and stuff, and like I've read those stories. I guess I just want to say like that really says nothing about the quality of the movie, and like I
right.
know that also trailers don't really indicate anything about the quality of a movie. Like it's like I've really liked the trailers for Rogue One. What does that mean? Nothing, probably. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it does.
so really we know nothing at all.
I
So
think
just
this allowed us a little bit more insight on some of these characters. Like I think the main character is part of the rebellion that we
yeah.
see a lot in oh my god, that new Star Wars TV show that I watch all the time and I'm blinking. I
Rebels.
need more coffee.
Star Wars
Uh,
Rebels, the new one.
yes. And I think it's somehow I don't think it ties in directly with that, but I think it may be inspired by
It
that
does feel
show.
like that same vibe as that show where the rebellion's like starting out. But then there's also things in Rogue One where it's like, oh, they're more organized, they have resources. But yeah, I know
Right.
what you mean.
At
There's a
first, I was
similar.
also like, they're like, oh, can we keep these people in control? I was like, is this Star Wars Suicide Squad? What's happening? But I don't think that's what it actually is. I think it's just
Well, I
sort of
mean
the way the
that's such a
trailer was cut to make it look
classic
like.
that's such a classic trope too, to be like, we have to work with people who have unorthodox methods in order to
Pretty much.
like achieve something greater. I mean, like that's like every movie. I anyway, we don't have to go on and on about it.
But I'm excited about it. I'm sure we'll be better than the Ewok movies, which I ironically really do love. So whatever.
Yeah, I do too. I'm pro Ewok.
I'm pro
Uh,
Ewok. What other
um,
trailers are there?
there's also the Hidden Figures trailer, which I thought looked good.
I think it looks amazing, and I
I know
love Janelle Monáe.
I do love
So
Janelle Monáe, and I'm happy to see her do anything. And so I'll see that movie for sure. It's about NASA mathematicians and how there were Black women who worked for NASA and nobody knew about them because history is weird and bad.
yeah, pretty
So
much.
like that looks cool. I know that the movie got delayed to January, which is apparently something that they do with movies when they don't think they're very good. So even if that movie isn't good, I'm gonna watch it
Me
anyway.
too. And if you people
Oh,
don't know who Janelle Monáe is, you probably should get on that because Janelle Monáe is
yeah, she's
basically
incredible.
one of the most talented musicians I've seen in a very long
We've
time.
talked
So.
about her on this show before about
Have
how much
we?
we like
This
her.
is
Yeah.
episode 32, so I don't know what we've talked about at this point or how the show is still going.
I don't either. And I was like looking at some of our episode descriptions yesterday and I was like, wow, I don't even remember these shows. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm excited about this too. They're remaking Clue. I mean this could easily go horribly, but maybe it'll be hilariously bad. Like the original Clue movie is so good. It's
It
like
is, but see, this is also one
crazy
of those
that anyone would
things,
remake it.
like everything else that's happening right now, where they are remaking stuff
I
from our
don't mind it
childhood.
that much
Which
though.
normally I don't, but like even at the time when the first Clue movie came out, I was like, how relevant is Clue? And then Clue sort of had a resurfacing come
Clue
back
is
in the
like
early
the
90s.
only example of a movie based on a board game where the movie's actually amazing. And
Yeah,
so
I know.
like I don't know. Like I think it's great and I think it would be fun if they remade it and like did something different. I don't know what it would be exactly.
I don't know how to feel about this. I really don't. I don't feel like anybody was sitting here being like, we need another Clue movie, because everyone seems
No one
pretty
was.
happy with the original movie. And I don't think kids of this generation are even playing Clue,
They're
let
not.
alone board
But
games.
here's the thing. When the Clue movie came out, no one was playing Clue. Like it wasn't like cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was a random thing that happened. Like I don't know.
How do you know? I was pretty cool. I had a crush on the Colonel Mustard piece, which was like a little yellow thing.
Well, it turns out that you can date Colonel Mustard in real life in the Clue
It turns out
movie.
you can date all the pieces in your board game, even though they have no faces and are just little like sticks.
Well, I didn't have a crush on any of them, but I don't know. I liked the movie, and I can't really imagine how a reboot would even happen. But I like mysteries, so I'll probably see that
Be
too.
on board for it.
Okay. So what's the next thing? I'm rushing through these because there's really nothing to say about most of them. Okay.
I have a bunch of shit I have to talk about at the end. Apparently,
do you?
I do. But let's talk about this former WB like employee going off about WB movies. I mean, I don't know what to say about that because I've read the articles and what they said, and I was like, this all seems very vague and very dramatic. Does. And I don't really care enough.
I mean, I liked reading the letter because I feel like DC movies haven't been very good, and so it was kind of nice to like read it and at least hear from one person who allegedly worked there. Like basically a former employee was like, this is some of the reasons why these movies got screwed up. And basically the reasons were like poor management, like things that you could have guessed, but we would never get confirmation on, you know? So like, I get that it was like very showy for a former employee to be writing it, but I don't know. I'm for it. Like I'm for the practice in general. And I kind of hope that DC changes some things, but I like, don't know that they will.
I know.
I don't know that this will actually affect anything. I was also sad that in the letter, the person who wrote it was like, oh yeah, the Wonder Woman movie is going to turn out to be garbage, which it's entirely possible that it will. I don't really trust DC movies at this point.
Sure, but it does have a woman director and some really awesome writers on it. Like, so, and Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
I think
that doesn't necessarily indicate anything. Like Suicide Squad, as the letter pointed out, should have been a home run. It had really great actors in it, like a director who's at least done some things before. Like there were things about Suicide Squad that seemed like a freaking no-brainer, you know? Yeah. And like it still came out really bad. And I don't know why. Like I know on last week's show I was like, it's hard to do ensemble movies. And like it is really difficult to do ensemble action movies. You have to introduce a lot of people really quickly. And like I stand by that. But the other side of that is like, well, there were really talented people involved in this. They should have been able to pull it together. Like it should have been at least as good as X-Men Apocalypse.
But I think sort of like if they're not allowed to, then they can't. So
yeah, no, I know. Or like if just weird bureaucratic things keep happening where like money gets moved around or like the resources aren't there, the time's not there. Who knows? Like any number of things could have happened that they could have made it harder for them to shoot the movie they wanted to make. I don't know. Anyway, I just think behind the scenes stuff is interesting, and that's the only reason why I bring it up. So if you hadn't read the letter already, I would recommend it. Just you can
Google it.
Yeah,
it's just, the letter is very angry.
It is very angry, but I'm an angry person, so I appreciated that.
Maddy actually wrote the letter. Is what the truth is.
Yeah, it's a huge lie. I've never worked for DC. The letter's a piece of No, it's not. It's not. I don't know. I didn't write it. So do you want to talk about this Pokemon Snap?
Well, I was we'll talk about that because we mentioned it now. But real quick, people have been asking for Pokemon Snap to come to the Wii U. And
people have been asking for Ryan Pagella's opinion on Pokemon Snap, and now
I remember in like middle school, I was obsessed with Pokemon Snap, and I
remember that as well.
Being like, Katie, I kept on going to her and going, "Hey, Katie, guess what? I mean, buy Pokemon Snap," and I would buy it like 50 times a day. I mean, I would say it 50 times a day, and then. The irony is like very like sometime in my 20s, like Katie was like, you know what was so annoying about that? I was like, what? She's like, you never fucking bought it. You kept renting it, but you didn't buy. I own it now, by the way. But anyway, so it's coming to the Wii U, and I don't know if it's Or I actually
That
this is
story.
Right, so it's coming to the Wii U in Europe. It may already be in the US. I don't know because I don't ever log into my Wii U account to like check unless I am actively looking for something to buy. And this may be old news, but Pokemon Snap on the Wii U is something that's great. And I don't know if it actually utilizes the game controller to like look around and take pictures. It probably doesn't, but even still, Pokemon Snap, guys, go and play it. That's all there is for that.
You just take pics of Pokemon. That's the whole game. I mean,
for some reason, it's like everyone still loves this game. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you're not alone. I'm not making fun of you.
I mean, everyone's playing Pokemon Go, which is essentially like sort of the same idea, where you're walking around and then you're just throwing balls at Pokemon. So,
but you can also take pictures of Pokemon in Pokemon Go.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's exactly the same.
Yeah, pretty much. So also in video game news, they announced that Harley Quinn and Deadshot will be in Injustice 2. I really loved Injustice, the first game.
You've talked about it before on this show.
Yeah, it's Mortal Kombat styled because it's by the same company that produces Mortal Kombat and produced that weird Mortal Kombat versus DC game.
Yeah, I haven't played either of those.
The
first mentioned that on this show before?
Injustice, the first game it actually had really good mechanics, and I really enjoyed it. The demo did not, but like when they actually released it, it was much cleaner and precise. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also, before I get into my stuff, I will mention that there's this whole big thing where Crystal Pepsi was re-released, which Ben got for me. And at first I was like, what is that? Like, even though it was from like our generation, I didn't think
Crystal Pepsi? Even I do.
I did after
I drink soda.
Well, that's what I mean. And it's like, I took a minute and I was like, what was the Coke version? Because there was like a Coke version of that. And I think that's the one we got. So like, I just totally forgot.
You were a Coke family?
Yes, we were.
We were a Pepsi family. My mom is all about the Pepsi.
We drank a lot of Coke, and I don't anymore. It's really sad because considering how much Coke we drank as kids and early teenagers, that and orange soda were like my favorite drinks. And like we'll get into that later. But like, I can't. Well, sorry, but I can't drink that anymore. It tastes disgusting.
No, I know it tastes really gross now, which is too bad. But
Yeah. But we have our Crystal Pepsi. It's sitting on the nostalgia shelf, so that's pretty cool. All right, I guess I was going to mention all these other things that I saw with stuff, but I'm going to say I did see Babadook, which everyone is talking about, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but I was really disappointed with the movie, and I don't understand why people like it so much, because it's really sort of a terribly paced movie, not very well written, not very well edited, like contrasting.
You're the only person I've ever met who's saying this.
It's have you watched it? It's
no. Everybody told me it was great.
Yeah, they do this whole build up. I can't say anything without spoiling.
I know the spoiler. I know the twist. Don't spoil it, but I do know the twist. And once I heard what the twist was, I was like, that sounds really dumb, guys. Like, what?
Yeah, it's
but
like
that's true of any horror movie. I'm like, well, it's not about the twist. It's about like how you get there. And
I just wasn't into it. And I love horror films, but it just was like, and there was nothing scary about somebody like fucking baying like a sheep. So I'm sorry. He was like, bah, bah. And I was like, oh, come on. This is so, what?
Ryan, are you scared by any movies anymore? Like,
no, but like I do.
You never are. So this is not a good barometer for you.
And since I've worked in horror for so long, I also sort of like, I expect
you, like, know how to do it.
And I understand there being like campiness, but that's not what this was. And like,
yeah, it was supposed to be really serious.
And I also didn't. Steph and I both were like, neither of us liked the main characters. The actors were really great because they portrayed like two super annoying characters, but I was just like not rooting for either of them. I'm like, they can both die and I'll be okay with that. I was more annoyed that the dog died. I was like, excuse me.
Okay, so there's a dog that dies. So that's a good warning. I know there's plenty of people who can't stand watching like animal violence.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, everyone can disagree with me, but like I just was not a fan. We also watched
I'm not going to watch it. So.
I know, you don't like horror films. We also watched Monster in Paris, which is an animated film that's apparently based off the Phantom of the Opera, but instead it's like a flea. It's a French movie that they dubbed, and it's about a flea that like sort of mutates and becomes big and like runs into what's her name from Phantom of the Opera instead, and like they do
Christine?
Yeah. And like it's a very weird movie, and I couldn't I can't explain it to you because it's so weird, but the animation is really beautiful. So I was like mesmerized by that because it's one of these films that people don't know, but it's like very pretty. So if you like pretty movies, watch it. But it's about a flea that's apparently the Phantom of the Opera or
That
inspired
seems
by.
great.
Yeah. And there's like science and mutagens happening. I mean, why not?
Sure. So it's
the-
like a sci-fi Phantom of the Opera, basically.
Right. And then finally, I want to say I'm late to this boat, but I started playing My Katamari, which is a really stupid game, but I really can't stop playing it. So I guess it's doing its job. But in comparison to the Katamari games, where you actually play the games and you roll things up from the world into it, and this you're just literally tapping on your phone. That's all you do. And you can level your guy up if you want to. You can tap more, but it's like Bitcoin. You're just literally sitting there tapping. And last night I was explaining it to Ben, and he was like, "That doesn't seem like a fun game." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I can't stop playing it for some reason." So good job, team. You did what you.
Sounds terrible. Like you
I know. And it like literally it's just a game to promote ads because there's ads every 2 seconds that give you more coins, and of course I click on them so I can get the coins. It's doing its job.
I hate everything you just said.
Yeah, so this is not I wouldn't recommend this game, but it is addicting to me because there's some sort of like OCD proponent going on here.
Oh yeah. Well, it's not just your OCD. It's like they capitalize on that. Everybody has that drive to like make the numbers go up. That's like a human thing. But they're like, I don't know. It's the only reason I'm still playing Pokemon Go, even though I could just walk around my neighborhood.
I don't know. At least Pokemon Go gives you like initiative to do something. Katamari is not doing anything.
Yeah, I know. At least I'm like walking around. But I don't know.
It's really too bad. You think that would actually be really cool if they did like sort of an augmented reality on that, but I don't know how the hell that would work. So
I have no clue. All right, let's do a throwback because apparently we aren't done yet.
Yeah. This was another movie we watched this past weekend along with Babadook and A Monster in Paris.
Which were watched after I left until 5 a.m. Before I left, we watched Airplane.
Right. Okay, so first of all, it's a comedy. It was one of the early parody films. It was like the first one, right? Like it was.
First of all, if you don't know what Airplane is, who are you?
Yeah, like Get Out. Okay? Like everybody quotes it all the time.
Okay, but here's the thing. I'm saying that it's a complete joke. Our friend Steph had never seen Airplane before, so I'm making fun of Steph by saying that.
But it was weird because she was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen like The Naked Gun and Hot Shots," and I didn't even know what Hot Shots was. I was like, "All right, everyone, we need to go back and watch Airplane."
So I guess I'll watch it. I don't actually think The Naked Gun holds up. There's a lot of like really unfunny stuff in those movies, but Airplane, I would say it's like 75% still amazing. There's like 15% of it that I'm like, this joke is bad. But, you know, there's a lot of it that still is so funny that it's just like wordplay. Like, I love that shit. I fucking love a joke that's just people making a pun or like wordplay. And that's the entire joke.
And in watching Airplane, I kept saying this at the time, but it was like, for anyone who does not know, Maddy and I posted these movies that we made as teenagers that were supposed to be parody movies called D-Men and D2. And specifically, D-Men had a very parody vibe that was very similar to Airplane. But at the time, we kept on being like, oh, we're just doing a Monty Python thing. But that's like not what we're doing at all. I think
we were also like inspired by Scary Movie, which I've said at the time.
Sure, but like we definitely like had more of an Airplane vibe because we watched those movies.
We're not as funny as Airplane, though.
No, we're not. But I also really loved Spaceballs. So, I mean, a lot of that comedy that you...
I mean, Spaceballs is a parody of Star Wars, which people may not know.
Well, I don't think we ever came to realize that we all watched these types of movies when we were making D-Men because you and Mink grew up watching Airplane. I watched Airplane and Spaceballs and Hot Shots. Steph watched those movies too. And when I sort of figured that out, I was like, oh, that's why the humor is the way that it was, because that was what we thought comedy was.
Oh yeah, we were like, comedy is parody, right? Like you just parody stuff that already exists. I mean, even Airplane is actually a parody. People might not know that, but it was a parody of Zero Hour. Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, and there's some other stuff in there too, like Saturday Night Fever.
There's the parody of Saturday Night Fever. There's other references, but it was like sort of a parody of like airplane disaster movies at the time, and like the high drama and like super high stakes of those kinds of movies. And like obviously Air Force One came out later, and like there's still movies like that. People are still making airplane movies, but Airplane was a parody of that concept.
And also something that's sort of, I don't know if anyone really remembers this, unless you like are an Airplane fan like we are, but the jokes in there are nonstop, and like it's beat after beat of jokes, which they don't write anything like that anymore. Like even stuff like 30 Rock, which is filled with a lot of jokes. This is like beat after beat, and sometimes there's like 2 or 3 jokes running at the same time.
Yeah, or like visual jokes that you just have to be watching the entire time to like pick up on what's happening.
Yeah, and like I didn't, again, when we were watching the visual stuff, I didn't even realize like how much that had influenced us when we made our parody movies as teenagers, because like all that visual stuff where like something would just be casually passed along was the kind of shit we did, and I was like, is this where we're drawing it from? I hadn't seen Airplane in so long. I mean, I still quote
Airplane it, but constantly. Like I watched it all the time because like the first guy that I ever dated, actually after we made D-Men, like before we made D2, so I was older. The first guy that I actually dated was so into Airplane because we were nerds. And so we watched Airplane like 1,000 times. But I loved it too. I was like totally into it. Like, but I don't know if Airplane influenced D-Men. I think it probably influenced D2, but I don't think that we like knew how to write jokes yet. Do you know what I mean? Like we were kids and we were just like, we really want to be as funny as Airplane and Scary Movie, which we thought was funny. I don't know that I would think is funny now, but like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like we really wanted to mimic that style. So the result is that it's just us like recreating a parody, quote unquote, of like Zelda or Batman the Animated Series or like whatever thing
except
we were into.
Something's like, you know, replaced with like a stick. I don't know.
Yeah, like we just would replace a couple things in the parody, you know,
right.
Like it wasn't, we were trying though. We were trying so hard. Anyway.
Do you know what's funny is that we were watching this movie with our friend Steph, and the part where the doctor walks into the room and is like, I just want to tell you both good luck. We're all counting on you. Steph started dying and we're like, oh yeah, that is pretty funny, right? And Steph's like, no, you have no idea. My entire childhood, when I would go to bed, sometimes my dad would walk in and say that, and I was always wondering what the fuck he was doing or why he kept on saying it. She's like, it all makes sense now. She's like 30 now and just figuring out this is a quote from Airplane that he was doing every night of her life. So
yeah. And like that part of the movie, I don't even like want to spoil it if anyone hasn't seen Airplane. Like, again, there's parts of Airplane that are not great. I don't want to tell you the whole movie's good. But if you are a fan of comedy, just structurally and narratively, I really think you should watch it because it's like just great in terms of how the jokes are written a lot of the time.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's worth checking out. And that scene's great. So like, I don't know. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I love it. And I love all those movies. We're going to have to watch Hot Shots next because you haven't seen that. And
okay.
That's really good.
I'll check it out. All right. So we got to do reader mail because, you know.
We do. Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. And it's time to do some reader mail. First of all, Skye did send us 2 emails with the recipe, but she followed it up and says, Runaways, important detail. She goes, they ran away because their parents were supervillains who wanted their kids to continue the family business. Also, I loved Ecto Cooler as a kid, then coffee at 11 years old. Skye, what were you drinking coffee at like 11?
Skye was hardcore as a kid, apparently.
I was waiting for somebody to say Ecto Cooler.
Oh, yeah. I liked Ecto Cooler. I liked High C. I feel like we've talked about High C on this show, have we? Or is that just...
We had High C, but I drank more Capri Sun. I was really into that, even though I couldn't get the fucking straw in the fucking pouch.
Yeah, that was always hard. Do you remember Sunny D? Those are apparently disgusting, but like as a kid, I thought they were really good.
I thought they were really good too. So
I've never had one as an adult, but I like was hearing from someone.
That's what I want to do. I want to try it as an adult and see if it's
horrible. Good. Apparently, no. So I don't know if you should even buy it. It's like orange juice, but mostly water and sugar added, I guess. So it's like not even really orange juice. But
I guess before we answer or the readers send us their stuff in.
Delight? That's what it's called.
Sunny, yeah.
Is that what it's called?
It's the same thing. Yeah, it's Sunny Delight, but you call it Sunny
apparently. D. It's like oily orange juice.
I guess my favorite drinks as a kid, I said Coke and orange soda were like my favorite sodas, which still, Maddie knows orange soda I had a huge problem with because I couldn't stop drinking it. But also I really liked Capri Sun, which I just said, but Capri Sun was fucking great. And they had all these wacky like 90s flavors, like tropical mango breeze face.
They all tasted the same to me. They just tasted like juice.
Yeah. And I like juice, so
it's pretty good.
What was your favorite drink as a kid? I mean, you don't drink soda, so like
I don't drink soda. So like I've never drank it. As a kid, I was like the bubbles hurt my tongue, and as an adult, I still kind of feel that way. I don't drink anything carbonated. I don't even really drink beer. I will if I'm at a party and I'm being peer pressured into it, but it's not my favorite still. So like that really severely limits the number of drinks I could have. So
is it like lemonade?
I like lemonade now as an adult, but as a kid, I actually really liked orange juice. Like just I feel like I drank orange juice a lot at your house and Katie's
You still
house.
drink a ton of orange juice, and so do I actually.
Because it's like got a ton of sugar in it, so I feel like nowadays juice is like something that I have as like a treat. But as a kid, I would just drink it all the time. You know, like I would just have that.
Right.
But I don't know. Now I just drink water because I'm an adult. And
I know I drink a lot of water too, which is so boring.
I know.
Although
I do like coffee though. I'm a coffee fan.
I do also like now I like sparkling juices. So I'm still on the juice phase apparently, and I found a way to have something that gives me the soda effect without drinking soda, so that's cool.
Wait, so did anybody else tell us their favorite drink?
Yeah, we have a few other ones. We have James. He says, "Hey guys, I saw you wanted to hear what our favorite drinks were as a kid. And my favorite was Earn Brew, which is a brand of really delicious Scottish pop. Sincerely, James Galbraith."
That's like super
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say your last
fancy.
name. That was super bad of me. I shouldn't have said that.
I'll cut it out.
Thank you.
So I feel like when we asked this on Twitter, other people were like, I like this really fancy soda that nobody's ever heard of. Like somebody told us that they liked, I don't know, some sort of sparkling soda also. It wasn't James. And like I didn't drink fancy stuff as a kid at all. Like I'd never even heard of it. Like, how would I have heard of it? How are these kids getting this designer soda? I
don't know if were they in other countries. I wouldn't actually know that.
Oh, so. Maybe. I mean, like the only thing that anybody that I knew drank was High C. Like everyone, that was what we all had, or Coke or Pepsi. Those were the big things that existed.
Fun little story. I don't know if I said this on one of the previous shows, but Katie and I were talking about our perception of things as kids, and there was a soda machine in middle school that we never.
No, we talked about this on this show. And you were like, I can't buy any soda because the principal won't let me buy soda.
Right, and they were also like, that soda machine is meant for the adults.
Because it was next to the teacher's lounge, so apparently
it was just next to the office at front of the school. But really, if we had a soda just as an adult now, it would be, if I was a teacher in that position, it'd be like, that kid has a soda. That must be what he's drinking today.
Yeah, like why would anyone care?
I don't know. All right, Taylor also wrote in, "Hi, Maddy and Ryan. Between No Man's Sky, Suicide Squad, and Crystal Pepsi, it's been interesting to see how much our nostalgia and our imagination still affect us in the internet age. What are some ways you've learned or not to keep when it comes to the next big thing? Thanks, Taylor." That's a good question. I feel like we were just sort of talking about this with Clue, right? Because like we don't know what to expect from that.
We talk about reboots a lot on this show. Yeah, I mean, I don't have like a coherent thought on why they're happening. I sort of wonder. I don't know. I feel like maybe we just tell the same stories over and over for all time. Like people just do that, you know. Like I guess that's why it doesn't really bother me that much.
I like new stuff.
But there's nothing new under the sun, you know? Like every story is kind of the same story. And that's okay,
and also right now we're tapping into so much of our nostalgia stuff, which has been cool, but like a lot of the time I'm like, oh, it's so awesome that we're going back as adults and remaking this with sort of more of an adult twist. Like I know Voltron isn't a great example, but that is something that was more adult themed, and also Thundercats was the same way. But like I'm also at the same time I'm like, these are all great shows that existed in like the 80s or 90s that we're remaking now, and I'm also sort of like, this is awesome, but what made them so great is that we were creating so many new things back then. So I've been trying to really sort of like get into new stuff, because like we need to create something new. We need to be creating, not recreating all the time. And that's why I started watching Steven Universe initially. And
that's a good example.
Watching Gravity Falls. Like there's a bunch of new great stuff like in this new generation, like those two things. Adventure Time's another one.
That's true. I guess I could put it another way and say like there are a lot of stories structurally that have been told over and over, but the characters that are featured in them could stand to be different.
Right. And like but that's what I mean. It's like we keep on going back and remaking the same franchises over and over again, which is cool because I want to see them continue. But again, like I want new and fresh ideas also, so we can like sort of get some new stuff out there. So like kids in this generation can then, and when they're our age, can go back and remake the stuff that they loved then too. So you know what I mean? Like it can't just be all one or the other. Good question though. And then finally from David, we have Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network. That's hard. That's very hard.
Well, these days, I guess it's Cartoon Network, right? Like, isn't that what Steven Universe is on? You know what's weird?
No, but see, like Nickelodeon also has like Legend of Korra and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true, but Nickelodeon is actually the show that's more likely to be doing reboots nowadays. Like Nickelodeon has been getting way into rebooting shows that were popular when you and I were kids, like Rocko's Modern Life and Doug and stuff. And like Ninja Turtles has been rebooted like 6,000 times. Like they keep remaking that, and like that's fine. But like I think they are an example of a network that goes back to the same well a lot. And like Legend of Korra is like one of the only examples that I can think of.
Well, that's I talked about this a little.
Is like I feel like TV networks are no longer an extant thing that people think of as being a fan of nowadays, because I feel like everybody
that's actually a really great point.
Like I don't think people are like, yeah, I'm all about Nicktoons. Like I don't know if kids today are doing that. I think kids today are watching stuff on Netflix, you know?
Right. And these networks that like put out these shows, I mean, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon are different from each other. They always have been. And I check in with Nickelodeon a lot just to see what they're doing, because the theme for Nickelodeon was that they were doing like sort of like adult content but for kids instead. So like they still do that. They still have a lot of like kids oriented shows that are very funny in the same way that the 90s stuff was, especially that now that we're all grown up, we're sort of re-bringing that up in that type of humor again. It's not quite as messy as it used to be in the 90s, and there's some stuff that I think got lost in Nickelodeon in the 90s, like game shows and like stuff like that, where it was very interactive. Yeah, we talked about
game shows before. I wish that would come back.
Right, and Nickelodeon Studios used to be like a place where people could go and like go and check out shows.
People could go there and meet each other.
No, yeah, I know, like
like they're not going anywhere.
Right, okay, but like it was a physical place that doesn't exist anymore, where they had all these studios, and that part I think I miss a lot, and unfortunately, like that's something that was a big part of Nickelodeon for me growing up. But Cartoon Network
like exists functionally anymore. Like I don't know if like the idea of Nickelodeon. Do you know?
Right, and that's what I mean.
Like I don't think people even associate that brand with something specific now.
Right, and that's what I mean. It's like I think that was Nickelodeon's one up on stuff like, you know, in the network industry. And Cartoon Network came out later, and Cartoon Network has always specified on producing new animation and cartoons, even though like recently they've been putting like live action stuff in there. And I, you know, but the thing is that like when I was getting into Cartoon Network as a kid, the reason why I wanted to is because I really loved cartoons, and Nickelodeon seemed to at that time be straying away from like a lot of like interesting stuff. And like Cartoon Network continues to provide a lot of new animation and tries out new pilots and stuff like that. And that's really great. And I think that's awesome. And then also Cartoon Network was the first thing ever to make even like an implication that there could be a channel of adult themed cartoons, because Adult Swim came out, remember? And now Adult Swim has its own network and channel and all that shit too, and is also featured on Cartoon Network. But like that was like the first time ever that like, because I was in a place where like Nickelodeon was still making these kitty shows for cartoons, and like sort of like Cartoon Network presented more teenage themes and adult themes, and like that was the first time where I could be like, I'm not a weirdo for being a grown-up who still likes cartoons, you know?
Yeah, it became cool. Our generation made cartoons cool, and everyone else should thank us. You're welcome.
I mean, that's why it's a tough call for me, is that they both resonate with me in completely different ways. So
I mean, for me, the answer is completely unfair because I couldn't watch either one as a kid, so I don't have nostalgic feelings about PBS. Nickelodeon.
That's honestly
it. I watched PBS.
And she never watched Arthur.
I didn't watch Arthur. It was available to me because PBS was one of the 5 channels we had, but I did not watch Arthur because I didn't like it. But anyway, so I didn't watch Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or really anything until I was older, and I was like going over other people's houses. And by the time I was that age, Cartoon Network was the only thing people were watching, because they wanted to watch like, you know, Inuyasha and, you know, Space Ghost and
Yeah, all that
Herbie
stuff.
Birdman and like the stuff that people were watching when they were older, when we were in middle school and high school. So like at that point I was like, Cartoon Network is so cool. And I never like, I knew Nickelodeon existed, and like I mostly was just jealous of the kids who got to watch it, and I was like, well, yeah, Nickelodeon's cool, but I like had never seen a single Nickelodeon show in my life, so I had no idea what the fuck I was talking about.
I think Nickelodeon definitely also sort of like heightened the idea of like doing weird and wacky and gross stuff. And
like Ren
that
and
stuff doesn't fly anymore.
And Cat Dog and
right, but I know that they're also sort of going back to those roots again. So I don't know if things will change. It was just Nickelodeon is a beacon of the 90s where Cartoon Network continues to be something that a lot of people watch. Like, and
it's like still a thing.
Not stuck in one decade somewhere. So
I feel like Nickelodeon kind of still is stuck in that decade of its
That's what I mean. And I love the 90s, but like, you know, I mean, like you also have to grow. So anyway, let's get to Skye's recipe. Today's recipe is known by many names: California casserole, tortilla lasagna, the thing with tortillas. I love Skye. You'll need 1 cup chopped plum tomatoes, bigger than cherry, smaller than regular. 1 cup of julienne cut zucchini, half cup of finely chopped green onions, 1 can of black beans drained, 1 10-ounce can of enchilada sauce, 1 8-ounce sour cream, 8 6-inch corn tortillas cut in half, 2 cups of shredded cheese, Monterey Jack, but do as thou will, and 1 tablespoon freshly chopped cilantro. Optional if you're one of those people who can't stand it. Preheat your oven to 375. Spray a 13x9 glass baking dish with non-stick spray, or use Crisco or whatever. Combine the zucchini, onions, beans, and tomato in a bowl and mix well. Reserve 1/3 of the enchilada sauce and mix the 2/3 in a separate bowl with the sour cream. Spoon 2 tablespoons of enchilada sauce or sour cream mixture into the bottom of the dish, then cover with 8 tortilla pizzas. No, sorry. Overlapping if necessary. That was me. I'm ruining everything as usual.
Tortilla pizza.
Again, the Mexican dish. Spoon half the vegetable mixture on top of this, spreading evenly. Sprinkle 2/3 of the cheese over the veggies. Spoon half the remaining in enchilada and sour cream sauce. Then repeat layers and finish with reserved enchilada sauce. Cover with foil. Bake at 375 degrees for 35 minutes or until thoroughly heated. Uncover, sprinkle with the remaining cheese or sprinkles. Sorry, that was me again reading things. Bake uncovered for 5 minutes or until cheese is melted. Let stand 10 minutes before serving and sprinkle with cilantro.
You don't burn your mouth off? Yeah.
So it sounds like there's a lot of different ways to actually make this, which is kind of cool. But it also sounds complicated, but
it doesn't sound that complicated.
It sounds like there's a lot of pieces, but none of it takes very long. So
yeah, like even though that was a lengthy recipe, in terms of like me thinking about how to do it, it doesn't actually sound that hard. So
right.
That's a cool one. I could see myself making that.
I kind of want to make that now.
Okay, let's go do it. But before we do,
here's a joke from Skye that says, "I understand the Mary Poppins reboot is coming along, and thinking about that movie makes me wonder, did she give those kids LSD? Then what happened in the park? Sorry, my life is going pretty nice right now, and for some reason I can only write funny songs and no standard jokes." Okay, but like that's not even a joke. That's like a legitimate question, Skye. Like
that scene in Mary Poppins is the worst. And I used to fast forward through it as a kid because it was so dumb.
It was also so long. We could do a throwback at Mary Poppins sometimes, but that is a very long movie, and like the animated scene is so fucking long.
Many like repetitive moments in the movie.
Like the scene with the park goes on for the length of a movie, and they're like, anyway, back into the movie, and I'm like, Jesus, why is this movie so long?
It's just like a stupid dream sequence. I don't know. I don't even know what I thought it was supposed to be.
I know, and it's just like, let me just quickly say about this woman who feeds pigeons. It's like, geez, no, what? Where is this? All right, sorry. I love
Mary Poppins is just like a series of unrelated songs, all of which are worth fast forwarding.
I was like, at the time, I did like aspects of Mary Poppins, but like,
there's still parts of it.
Even then, I was like, this is a really long movie. And as I got older and would like, because we had to like read it again in like elementary school, then watch the movie again, and by that time, I was like, I really don't like this. I like the animation, but like, where is this movie going? Like, this magical nanny that like creates these adventures that we apparently had to spend like 3 hours to 4 hours like enjoying with them. and like it's all cracked out. So anyway,
it's very strange. It does seem kind of like a drug trip. I don't think I ever really considered that. I think as a kid, I just assumed they fell asleep. But that annoyed me too, because I was like, this is out of the continuity of the movie. Not that I was like articulating that as a kid.
Right. And I also got Mary Poppins confused all the time with bed knobs and broomsticks. Did you ever watch
me
that?
Too. I also get those confused. And Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, I would get confused with bed knobs and broomsticks as well.
Although I like bed knobs and broomsticks more than I liked Mary Poppins. So
also Chitty Chitty Bang Bang is a pretty fucked up movie. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
Okay, good.
There's kids getting kidnapped in that movie. A bunch of shit happens.
Maddie's like clearly traumatized by this movie.
I'll do a throwback to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang at some point, if you want.
All right, so recipes. My recipe for this week is not really Mexican oriented, but it could be depending if you wanted to add stuff to it. But basically, this week I was trying to make some dishes that were healthier for me because like we're going on vacation next month, and I'm like, I'm just gonna eat really well until then because like I just really need to clear out.
Just only gonna eat crap on the vacation.
And Maddie, you exactly, but Maddie saw me the other day. I was like, well, I'll just have beer and nachos for dinner, and then like the next day I did something similar. I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like this is not. So I've been trying to be a little bit more creative on what we have around the house because we have like all these like canned vegetables and frozen vegetables. I'm like, let me just fucking whip something up. So I took some white rice, I took broccoli, and I took fake chicken, and that was it. And I put all that together. But you can put in whatever spices you want. So that's what I was doing. In this particular case, I did like soy sauce and garlic powder and pepper and like stuff like that. And if you wanted to go Mexican, you could make it Mexican just by adding like the correct tomato sauce and spices. Then it's still the sort of, you get that taste. But like starting that with those three things and any other vegetable as a base, and then really highlighting on your spices is what really changed the meal. So that became sort of like a Asian dish for me, but like it could also be a Mexican dish.
If you put like different stuff in it. Yeah.
Right. And you know, I remember when I first started dating Ben, he kept on being like, no, it's all about the spices that with your food. And I was like, just dump the hot pepper in there. That's all I want, which is still a fact. I love hot
that
pepper.
Was also because before you started dating Ben, you weren't a vegetarian yet. And then
I also didn't really cook. And you know, recently in this past year, I've been cooking a lot more just because like, I'm like eating out is expensive and like it tastes really great, but it's like not usually very good for you.
There's usually like a ton of salt that you don't realize is there.
Yeah, and then like I love going out to eat, so this is not me saying I don't do that because I love doing that, but in terms of like coming home and be like, all right, well, I don't want to spend a lot of time cooking because I hate doing it. So I've been trying to come up with quick ways to make things, and this is one of them. And really, it's just using your spices. Like, just start a collection of spices and mixing around and toy with things. There's like a science behind it.
But
Skye
who
will
cares?
confirm.
Just dump them in. I mean, science.
That's sometimes what I do. Sometimes when Ben's not eating a meal with me, I'm like, I'm just going to dump extra cayenne pepper in here.
Well, that's because you like spices better, like spicy stuff better than Ben. And better than I do. I'm kind of a wuss when it comes to spices, but it's all the luck of the draw. That's the tongue I was born with. Yeah. So I'm going to do a twist on your recipe, actually. I don't think I've ever talked about this on the show before, but this is like a classic dish for me. Like I would fry an egg and put it on brown rice with some broccoli, and you can also do some Asian spices. So if you don't like fake chicken, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like frying an egg is another way to get protein into that dish and make like sort of an Asian dish. Like you can put other veggies in there if you want to, but that's like a really basic, really cheap dish that I used to make a lot, like rice and eggs and broccoli when I didn't have that much money.
I'm surprised that you haven't talked about that before, because we used to have extensive conversations about how we were like, that's constantly. Like so good.
It's so good. And I never came up with that dish on my own. I actually had it at Caro's house when we were kids. Their parents made me that. And I was like, this is delicious. And it's 3 ingredients. Like I could make this. And then I went home and made it 6,000 more times.
Caro's parents were really great at simple eating. And they
are. And they've always been great at it. Like,
yeah. And I actually just was at her house this past weekend, which I didn't talk about because we went swimming over there at the lake. But
and you guys didn't invite me. Whatever.
Sorry, Maddie. We'll do it next time. But when we were there for briefly, and I went into her parents' backyard because she's moving back at home for a little bit while she transitions, potentially moving to LA. And like, you know, I haven't been there in like 10 years, so it's been a decade. And they've always had like a really awesome garden, but their garden is like huge now, it's full of vegetables everywhere. So like,
That's the upside of owning a home, is that you can grow vegetables and then eat them.
I
Wouldn't that
know,
be nice?
like, and it tastes so good. So yeah, that's simple eating. Is
If
it
you
really?
own a home, please plant some vegetables and eat them for
Yeah.
me. Just think like Maddie would be doing this if she only could.
But you can do a lot with like rice and veggies and eggs. Like,
Yeah.
really, I mean, like
It's
that.
a really delicious meal. And like Ryan said, you can kind of like alternate what kinds of spices you want to put in there. I mean, you can really just do salt and pepper. Like that's
Yeah.
really good. A fried egg is good if you like fried eggs, but I've also done like a sunny side up egg and then the yolk is runny and you can mix that in with everything and that adds a lot of flavor too. So like
Right.
it depends on what you want.
And
Anyway, that's
there's
it.
definitely a lot of different dishes you can do, and I know we got to go, but do you remember that place that you, me, and Rai-T used to go? That was like the Asian supermarket that had like
Yeah, I
10
go there
walk-up.
constantly because I used to live near there. So you're
Yeah.
like, this is a place we went a couple times, and I'm like, Ryan, I went there.
It worked. Okay,
every
but the
day of
point
my
is that they
life.
had like 10 walk-up places where you could buy stuff that was like rice and veggies fried together, and they all tasted significantly different. So like,
Yeah, but I would always go to the Korean barbecue place because they would put like a fried egg on top of rice and veggies, but they would put
Yeah.
in like a billion veggies.
right, that was one of my favorite places, and they had the hot bowls. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it was
So-
awesome. So yeah, go to a Korean barbecue place and get them to make the dishes that we just told you about because they're gonna
For
do
significantally more money.
well.
It
yeah,
actually tastes
it's
way
like
better than whatever you actually make,
$12.
though. So I mean, there is that.
I mean, it's not that much money. Like, I mean, $12 for like dinner and then maybe leftovers later if you're me and you can't finish all of it, then
That's not
it's
enough for me. I finish all my meals. It's a problem.
Well, you're a vegetarian, so you know it's all vegetables.
What does that
Like,
mean?
Well, when I'm ordering those, there's a bunch of beef on top of it, so I'm like, this is like more food. I feel like you get ripped off at those places because like
Maybe.
they should put in more veggies for you.
Maybe, but
Better
there's still like
be.
a ton of rice or whatever. All right, we gotta go. It's my fault for dragging that out. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please subscribe to this channel, and that would be awesome. Go to our home base, which is Atomic Blue Productions, which is on YouTube, and we upload videos that Maddie and I make, and I also do my event coverage and post it there. And we also take clips of this show and put it up over Atomic Blue. And you
like
can also,
you know, the 10 minutes of the show where we actually talk about a topic. That's on Atomic Blue
yesterday
Productions.
I actually posted up the Metroid 30th anniversary discussion we had, so which I felt was important to the both of us, especially Maddie, who is Samus. And you can check that out over there if you don't want to like watch the entire show or listen to the entire podcast, which you can download on iTunes or get at atomicblueproductions.com. And you can also follow Atomic Blue Productions on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and Facebook.
Yep, you did it. And if you want to send us listener mail, it's insomniacsinthemorning@gmail.com. And also, we both have Twitters where we talk to each other all the time. I'm Minnie Myers and Ryan's Dr. Yoshi too.
And hopefully I'll be changing my branding soon. So maybe I won't be Dr. Yoshi 2 for too much longer because I'm not a doctor or a Yoshi. So
you told me you were a Yoshi last time we discussed this, and now you're taking
I know. I
it back.
closed out and I just like threw Yoshi at the camera. So
Okay, I have to go.
all right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.